Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. Our audience cut across global, and it's the time difference is unbelievable. Welcome to another issue of Broken Not Shattered. My co-host Obi, who is back in Lagos, Nigeria. Obi, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm great. Well, this is the weekend before Valentine, and this is the time when most people get in trouble. The hype is just too much. As long as I'm concerned, I think it's a waste of human space, and that's just my personal opinion. You have yours. You know what? And let me explain this. Right? I think love is a
Okay.
thing, and I think in a relationship or whatever relationship it is, whether it's a parental or boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, whatever relationship it is, friends, it shouldn't just be marked by one day, right? Love,
Yes.
love,
Yeah.
love should be done every day. You should buy your wife flowers on a regular basis, right? Or your girlfriend, whoever she is, you should get her flowers on a regular basis, right? Chocolates are always in the market. You shouldn't just buy her chocolates on the February 14th. And so what happens is people all of a sudden have now commercialized this day, right? You should be able to walk into a store and write a card for your loved one and give it to them, regardless. So the hype of Valentine's Day
Yeah.
now takes up the whole. It brings a lot of tension, right? And the expectation level is so high. Now, with the expectation level being so high, what happens if for any reason he or she or they, whatever pronoun they want to go by, right, fall short, there's a problem. He doesn't love you.
Yes.
So what did you get, Ngozi? Ngozi got a big bouquet of flowers, chocolates. Oh, do you know what he gave me? He just gave me one small package, right? Oh, what did you get? Oh, he bought me a brand new car. Ooh, what did I get? Give me a card, right? So the unnecessary pressure both on the men and on the women, which I think. I mean, I was watching the show the other day, and the lady had to go and buy herself flowers, right? She had to
Hmm.
buy herself
Hmm.
flowers because everyone in the shop was buying flowers, and she said it was from her husband. He didn't buy the flowers. She bought flowers herself because she knew that her husband was not the kind of guy that's going to buy that. And I felt that it was just a waste. You should love people genuinely, but that's my opinion. What's yours?
And I quite agree with you. And again, I don't think it should be material based. And that's why you see that scenario play out often. You want to size what he has given to you, you want to size what she has given to you, you want to compare it with others. I quite agree with you. It shouldn't just be an exchange of materialism, it should be a commemoration.
Mm.
So it is a time to remember. I don't know if you're trying to get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah, sure, I understand.
Celebrate it often. Celebrate whoever is your partner as often as you can. And then if there is a day like this as vow, let it be like a commemoration. We remember this. We can sit down and have a quality gist. We can, do a throwback of how we got to know each other, the
Right.
40 days, how it was.
Yeah.
And then, think of how we want this relationship to continue to progress and the future we have with this
And
relationship.
and I think
I
and I
don't think
think I think that's the most important part of it. Just relax, chill.
I went back to watch that movie.
Huh?
I went back to watch that movie, and,
Okay.
and it was quite.
Yeah, exactly. So but let's talk about this.
There's a whole lot.
I said there's a lot of tension that comes with it, and out of that tension, sometimes
Yeah.
it might even lead to some kind of domestic abuse. And I know we were planning to talk about Valentine's and all that great stuff, and had a good show with that. But I thought it'd be more important on a day like this to discuss something a little bit more serious. And we have a guest in our midst, someone that I've known for quite a while, and I think she has done a phenomenal job on this. But let's just come back in a few seconds, and I'll introduce our guest to you. We'll be back in a second. Welcome back to Broken Not Shattered. This is your host Ike and Obi, my co-host, who are both different parts of the world. Today we are going to talk about speaking up. Speak up about what? No, not Valentine. Speak up about domestic abuse. My guest today is someone who I have known for quite a while, who has done phenomenal work. Just give you a little bit about who she is. Joyce Okumbowa uh, is the founder of The Valley, born in the United Kingdom, raised in Nigeria. Um, Joyce started in 2021, started a series called Speak Out with the Valley. And the focus of that series was to share the experiences of people who have suffered domestic abuse or who have overcome it, or maybe sometimes we're still going through it. And then they will bring in legal and therapeutic resources or counseling resources to change, to help people, guide people through that process. Joyce has is part of her counseling department back at her Christian church where she goes to. She's part of their counseling department, and she's used her own experience after being married at the age of 17 and going through abuse for 17 years. Obi, she has now taken all that experience she had to now create a lifeline for others who are going through the same thing. And you can see I didn't say women, I said others, because men also go through abuse. Welcome to Broken Not Shattered, a phenomenal woman. I just call her MJ. Welcome, MJ. Hey, Joyce, how are you?
Hi, Ike. Hi, Obi.
How you doing?
Good, good,
How
good.
are you?
I could have gone on and on about your bio, which is very long and for either. So just to make sure we save time and we get the most important thing in, tell us a bit about one, yourself, and then the valley.
Okay, so my name is Joyce Okumboa, as you said. I am a mother and a grandmother. I was a victim of domestic violence myself for 17 years. So from the age of 17 to 34, I was in an abusive relationship. Um, and it was after I left and I came back to Nigeria that I sat down one day and I thought, well, what was the worst thing that you went through during those years? And I thought it was actually the isolation, the fact that I was going through all of that and literally nobody knew. And then I thought, okay, so how can you help? How can you use that to help people? And I thought, why don't I set up a helpline, first of all, manned by people like me who have been in abusive relationships, and so who understand what it's all about. We don't judge. So I set up a helpline in 2018, and it was a 24-hour helpline manned by survivors of domestic violence. And it was just to listen if you just wanted to talk. We're not going to judge you, and we're not going to ask you why, because we've been there before. And that was the birth of Diwali.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So it came out of your own personal experience. So you've taken your pain to create your own to create a platform to help others. And I think that's
Yeah.
what life is all about. Even this platform, Broken Not Shattered, actually came out from my own brokenness, right? And because I
Yeah,
wasn't shattered,
yeah.
we thought, okay, it was time for us to go back and inspire other people. Welcome to Broken Not Shattered, Joyce. Joyce, now you said while you were talking that you had gone through this for 17 years.
Mhm.
What made you stay? Because there's someone listening to you wondering, 17 years? That's a long time. How come you couldn't get out?
You know, research will tell you that an abused victim will make seven attempts minimum to try and get out of abusive relationship. And when I look back now, I now know the reasons why. I had low self-esteem. I felt I loved him. I was ashamed. Nobody wants to tell anybody that they're going through abuse. I didn't want to feel like a failure. I believed what he told me. He told me that if I left him, nobody else would want me, and that's what a lot of abusers do. You know, and to be honest, I really didn't know how to leave. Even though I wasn't in Nigeria, and I now know that there are loads of resources. I just didn't know if I was strong enough to leave him. And remember that abusers will always be repentant once they've abused you. So it wasn't a case of beating. What, when after any, I call them incident, there'd be a lot of remorse, there'd be a lot of crying, there'd be a lot of begging. And so that confuses you. So you still think in your mind, oh, maybe I should work at it. Maybe I should work at it. Maybe I should give him a go. Maybe it's my fault. I'm going to change, all those sort of things. So those were the reasons why I didn't leave at the time, and looking back, I do still, that's the one thing that I regret, that I had 17 years when I could have left earlier. But
Well, like you said, you can't judge yourself, right? That was just your story, your journey, right? Now, there's someone out there who might have been there longer than 17 years and is still taking it till tomorrow. Right? The question is, when we hear to the layman, when we hear the word she's in an abusive relationship, the first thing that comes to our mind is physical violence. But abuse stretches a little bit more than that, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Can you create some insight for our audience, please?
Yes, I mean, most people that are abused, that experience domestic violence have been abused physically, but there are people that haven't, that are just mentally abused, and that is when your partner is telling you derogatory things. So there's that. There's financial abuse, and that was another point that I felt. The other reason why I didn't leave, one of the other reasons why I didn't leave was financial, because I wasn't financially able. I didn't think I was financially capable of leaving, even though now I look back, I was. There's financial abuse. There's spiritual abuse. That's the abuse where they use church to manipulate you. Domestic violence covers across, and it's not just even your spouse. It could be your brother. We've had people that have been abused by their brothers, their fathers, being physically abusive. And there's also sexual abuse, which is rape. When you say no to your partner and he's insisting, and you find a lot of women who have been abused, been in a domestic violent relationship, have actually been raped by their partners. And people will say, "Oh yeah, but you're married to him." Well, no is no. If you're not in the mood and you don't want to do it, and somebody's forcing you to do it, then that is rape as well. So there's also rape included with that.
Wow. Well, I bet you that would open up some eyes when you just said the part when you've been married. I know there's the different. I've heard different stories about when that is acceptable and when that is not acceptable. There's a different line of thought that if you're married to someone, the marital bed is undefiled, and so you have no right whatsoever to deny your spouse, him or her. If you do that, you're actually creating them to go out and live a philanderous, an unhealthy lifestyle. But listening to you now, it's very interesting to hear that part. Now, talk about financial abuse. How does financial abuse come into this? How do you get?
So let me talk about mine. So I was working, and he was working. He was earning much more than I was, but I was the sole breadwinner. He would let me pay for everything in the house, So I couldn't save, and by then I had a son, so it was very difficult for me to put funds aside to get maybe accommodation for myself. And you find that is very common in Nigeria. When you're married to a wealthy man, he will buy the thing, because we've had cases where there's food in the house, yes, the children's school fees are being paid for, yes, but you don't get a dime. You don't get a dime to do anything, because remember that abuse is based on control. And this is the mind of the narcissist. They want to control you. How do I control you? I limit what you can have access to. Yes. So that's what I mean by financial abuse as well.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I said they do it strategically, So anybody that looks at you will think, oh, she's got nice clothes on, she has a good car, but she doesn't have a penny in her account, or he doesn't have a penny in his account. That's all.
Yeah, it's the mind of the narcissist, because it's all about control. It's all about power. How do I have power over this person and stay in control of this person's life? And it could be something as simple as just hounding someone down or monitoring every move they make. Just suck up the energy of the other person once you show up, and then create a very unease and terrifying environment, very toxic. And it doesn't have to be physical. And I bet you a lot of guys who are out there who might have experienced that, just have a wife who just goes on and on and on verbally and just messes up with their mind, messes up with their ego and everything that makes them a man. In some cases, there's a woman out there who actually has gone through the same thing, and also in some cases gets physically beaten. Wow. Thanks a lot for sharing that, Joyce. Obi, you have a question?
Yes, honestly, I have a lot of questions, but I am constrained by our time. The issue of abuse and domestic violence is vast, and I think people are a good number of people in our society are quite ignorant of it. And it will be, enlightening, or it will be important to enlighten as many as we can to come to that point where we would really understand it and really approach it better. But by the way, your show yesterday was quite an interesting
Oh
one. It
yes, it
was
was. Yes.
interesting, and I really appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
But first, in the course of your answering some of the questions you were asked, you mentioned you stayed up to 17 years in the abuse, and from the little research I made, I discovered that people most people who pass through abuse tend to go back to the abusers, and they find it difficult to leave. I would want you to throw more light on that. Is it true, and why is it so? And then let me also take this so that you can marry the two of them together. I would want to know, what was your motivating factor, and at what point did you decide to take up this?
Right. What time to leave?
Okay. So first of all, you're correct. I don't know if you heard. I said research will tell you that a victim will try 7 times minimum to escape, but they don't, unfailingly. And that's due to so many things. Like I said, we're talking about somebody who's extremely narcissistic. So I'll tell you about an episode. So I've been abused. It's just been over. There's blood. I'm crying, and then this person cries with you, shows some sort of warped empathy with you, and tells you things like, it's your fault. I have a temper. You should have just kept quiet when I was doing this. You know that I'm easily that sort of thing. So they play mind games, and they can even go as far as taking you out that evening, with your bumps and your bruises, and having a good time and laughing with you. I always say that an abuser is not a tall, dark, black, horrible-looking person. No, they're actually quite they're quite nice in public, in general public. So that is why when you tell somebody you're being abused, the first thing they'll say is, that your husband that makes us laugh. That is very, very common. And so, just like Ike was saying, it's such a toxic environment. And sometimes, I remember once I tried to leave, and my partner came to beg and beg, and he wore me out. I knew I didn't want to go back, but he wore me out with his begging, that I just felt it's just better for me to just go back. Because he's not, they don't just walk away and let you go. They can appear at your work, they can come to your office, they'll call, they'll beg, they'll get family, they'll get friends. So that is why people tend to go back. And in answer to what was your second question? Sorry.
So what was your motivating factor? At what point did you?
What was your aha moment? Oh, I gotta get out of here.
So mine was ironical. I didn't leave. Funny enough, he left towards the end. He actually left. I had left over 15 times, and I had gone back. And not to go into too much detail, he'd started. I was in the UK, and he was there, and he'd met somebody here in Nigeria. And when I found out about that, I was moving back to Nigeria. So that was ideal. I moved into my own place, and he stayed with her. And that was how I was able to escape. So almost like I distracted him. And she distracted him from me. Yes.
When I come back, I have a question for you, Obi. Just give us a few seconds, and I'll come back. Let's take a short break, and I'll just come back. Our guest today is Joyce, who is the founder of the Valley. What does the Valley stand for?
The Domestic Violence Assistance Line Initiative.
Wow. And that's what she does. She has gone through, overcome abuse herself, and now has taken her 17 years experience of being in an abusive relationship, and has now created a platform to help others. Joyce, I have 2 main questions. And like Obi said, we're very short of time. I wish we could have you back again, and I think we should.
We should.
Yeah, I think we should. So, but just for the sake of time,
yeah.
Joyce, I'm trying to couch this thing correctly. Okay. So, as Christians,
Mm.
where does forgiveness come into this journey of
Mm.
abuse?
Uh, okay, so I'll talk for myself. When I remember when I eventually left, and I had a spiritual counselor who said to me, in fact, immediately I got to her office, she said to me, "Kneel down, we're going to pray." And I thought she was going to pray for me. She started praying for my partner, and I opened my eye. I was like, and she told me, she said, "You're going to have to forgive him," you know. And I think as Christians, we should, you know. I mean, I've forgiven my ex now. It took me a while, you know. Do I forget though? I don't know if you can forget. I know, you know, even today in church they were saying we have to forget completely. I'm not sure if those memories of trauma can ever be completely erased, because you know, anything can make me remember, can trigger, you know. So I'll be a hypocrite if I say, as a Christian, I'm sitting here and I say to you, "Oh, I've forgotten." No, I don't think I can forget. But have I forgiven him? Oh yes, 110%, because I now know that an abuser is a sick person, and he or she actually needs help. So
Which
that's
is which is my second question,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
most of the time we talk about the victim and the victim as the one, but also to a great extent the abuser is a victim.
Absolutely.
And if you check the history of most abusers, right, they've either seen this happen in their home growing up,
Yeah.
right, or in some ways they have gone through some level of abuse.
Absolutely.
It could be sexual abuse, molestation at a very young age. You know, a woman molested them at a very young age, and so the beast in him keeps on rising, and he's like trying to, I'm gonna get every woman back. Subconsciously in his mind, he doesn't know that's what he's doing, right? So both the victim and the abuser are victims
Mm.
in most cases.
Yes.
And like you said, everybody needs to find help.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we don't have a therapist here, but I have a background in counseling. And I know that what happens is after a while, you get so desensitized to the abuse that it becomes almost the norm.
Yes.
There's a level of codependency, right?
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
comes along with it. So you're so codependent that you believe that you can't live without that person, right?
Absolutely.
And the abuser also, in some ways, thinks I need this person to showcase how powerful I am, that I still have that grip over them, you know. And so it's nobody actually wins in a situation like this. But there's
Yeah.
someone who's going to be watching this show this afternoon and is wondering, or this evening, or this morning, and is wondering, how do I get out? How do I get help? This is what you do for a living. This is your platform. Speak to that person, please, and see if we can get you somebody.
So I would say to anyone who's a victim of abuse today that there is help out there. First of all, I'm in Lagos State, and I know Lagos State are doing an awesome job with domestic violence, but the numbers they're seeing, obviously they can't cope. That's where agencies like ourselves come in. So I would say, you know, an abuser will not change. So stop thinking he's going to change or she's going to change. They're not. They don't even believe that they have a problem.
That's
So I would say to you, you need to get out of the relationship. I'm not saying leave for good if you want to go for therapy with him or counseling when you come out, but come out first, because you know what? We seem to forget that domestic violence you can die in. You know, I know so many people who have died in domestic violence situations. So I would say your life is much more important than you going through the abuse.
So is there a number that people can
Well,
call?
we have a helpline +234 if you're out of Lagos, 802-111-1234. That's our helpline number.
Okay, we'll try and put it up at some
Yes.
time. So it's called the Valley, right?
Valley, the domestic violence, they can Google it, Domestic Violence Assistance Line Initiative.
Okay, so we'll get people to call in to go online and find out help through the helpline that you guys have. Obi, what's your last question for?
Wow, this is indeed mind blowing. So I would say this. Have you ever come across this word "would die here"?
We'll
So
die
I
here.
What does
would
that mean?
die here. Is
Ghost?
you said you're in Lagos and is a popular slang in Lagos? Would die here.
Okay, that
Yeah,
means you're not going to leave the relationship.
exactly. So we go nowhere. You know, I've had parents say, oh, after all, when I started with your father, we were having issues, and at some point were good. And I've also had some ladies say, he wants me to leave the house. I will not leave. We die here. What do you have to say to such persons and in such situations?
Okay, so
And
I
then
was.
just for to close it up,
Mhm.
I want to talk a little about your program.
Okay.
What
So
has been the
mhm.
okay, go ahead. Please.
No, go on. I'm sorry. Please go ahead. Finish what you were going to say.
Okay. What I want to ask about your program is, how did you come about with this program, and what has been the journey so far with the program?
Okay, so with the statement "we die here," that's it. You will die one day because it takes just the wrong blow in the wrong place to lose a life. So I would say, rather than say we die here, you come out and you quickly escape from the abuse that might take your life. And if you die, then there's no hope whatsoever. So that's that. So the Valley is where we help anybody. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. Anybody who's experienced abuse, to phone the helpline. You will get answered by somebody who's been through abuse, so they get it, they understand, and it's about getting you. It's about speaking you through your situation, but the onus is on you. What do you want to do? Do you want to leave, or is it just counseling? If it's just counseling, we're here to listen to you, but we will tell you that your life is in danger and the life of your kids are in danger for as much as you stay in this relationship, this abusive relationship. So that's what Diwali is all about. We counsel as well. We offer counseling to anybody who's been in an abusive situation, and we can refer you to Lagos State as well if you need help as well.
Wow, thank you so much, Joyce. This has been sort of short time to share so much, and I know you have to run and get on with some other parts of your day. Thanks for coming onto this show. We'll definitely have you back. You can see the
Definitely.
plan right there. If you speak up, if you are in an abusive relationship, reach out to someone, tell someone, share with someone. Um, if you want to info us, you can info us at Broken Not Shattered, and we'll pass your information over to Joyce. Joyce, thank you so much for this wonderful time, and I hope to have you back on the show much longer. I have so many questions, I had so much information to share, and I wanted you to get on, but that's fine. I know where to find you, so I will have you back. Give us about 3-4 weeks, and we'll call you back again.
No
And most
problem.
likely, might have a therapist online, so there's a counselor to show people that after they've been through this, there is life after abuse.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you for having me.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you.
Thank you.
All right, bro. Well, that was an interesting one.
Right.
Yeah, yesterday it was such a blessing listening to her show. She did a great job with that. There are a lot of people out there who are going through several different levels of abuse, and so we hope that at some point people would come to realize that, hey, there is a life after abuse. Obi,
Yeah,
we
yep.
one
So,
minute
so
left.
yeah, so you see, that's what the platform is all about.
Yes.
You know, she is a testimony. And you see what I used to say about, like, remember sometime when we talked about life,
Mhm.
and I said life happens is understanding what life throws at you and how to manage it. Now
Mhm.
she's coming from a negative point, and it has created a whole message for her.
Right.
Rather than die in that trauma of losing her marriage and all that, today she's a helping hand, helping to pull people out of depression as a result of abuse.
And
So,
oppression.
yes,
Yeah. 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 And she has a background in this. Then this is also so she is a Christian counselor in some ways, and she's taken a lot of courses back in the UK. So she's very versed in what she does. I'm so happy to be part of her program and what she's doing. All right, brother. Well, we are about to wrap up. Before we end, I just want to
what do
tell
you have for your vow?
me, I don't have a vow, bro. You try to set
I,
yourself up.
I was wanted to jump you with that.
Yeah, it's okay. No, no, worry. I have vows. No, my daughters came down from. That was very nice of them. They came down for the weekend to just hang out with dad, and
Yeah,
I think that's the height of it for me, you know. So later on today, we'll just hang out today. We spent a lot of time yesterday catching up and do the same before they go back to their different colleges. Um, what else? I guess that's it. And today is a football in America is the biggest, largest sports in America is football. So the finals are today. So everybody's looking for where to go and munch something and just have a good time. But yeah, I'm good. I was shocked to get flowers or anything from anybody, but if it happens, hey, I'm very grateful.
I will send you flower if that's the case.
Madam, how you gonna do that? How you do your own, madam? You're gonna send her flowers to Saudi Arabia. By the time it gets there, it still will just dry up.
You will dry up. That's nice.
Well, thanks for making out time for us to go through this, and for anyone who's actually listening to us. Obi and I are going to appeal to all our audience right now that please go and follow us on Instagram, Broken Not Shattered, and also join us on YouTube. YouTube handle is Broken Not Shattered. We just want to have more followers, more people log in. We've got a whole media team behind us now, and we are super excited. And for those of you who are spending time enjoying your Valentine's Day, please have a peaceful time. It's not just about the gifts, it's just about the time that everyone comes together and celebrates one another. My brother, I celebrate you again. And yeah, and so on behalf of all the wonderful cast and crew of Broken Not Shattered, wherever they are in the world, and all to our audience, we want to wish you, for the sake of peace, happy Valentine's Day. But please take away the pressure. Take away the pressure.
Take away the pressure. It's not about material.
Yeah, it's not worth it at all. It's just one day in a 365 year. And for those of you in Nigeria, please remember to vote, and don't sell your vote. It's like selling your soul. Don't let anyone try to buy your vote. Okay, vote for whoever your conscience tells you to vote, not who buys your vote. Because once you sell that vote for 1,050 naira or whatever it is, trust me, for the next 8 years or 4 years, you'll be dealing with that person, whether they're alive or sleeping, active or inactive, whether they're tall, short, smart, or dumb. That's what you're going to get. So please use your vote. And the young people, make sure no one rigs the election. Just go straight out and keep your eye on your vote until the results are called. I'm done. So, peace, love, and grace. See you guys next week. Obi and I will be back with a. I think I'm looking forward to next week, Obi. I'll tell you more about it offline. It's gonna be. All right. Good night, guys.
Take care.